But Gnosticism changes boys from men, and I'm gonna show you now. So, but this radical sense of all creation is accompanied by equal radical certainty with all presupposes and opposes that the conviction that there exists in man something which escapes the curse of this world. A fire, a spark, a light issuing from the true God, that distant, inaccessible stranger to the perverse order of the real universe, and that man's task is to regain his lost homeland by wrenching himself free from the snares and illusions of the real, to rediscover the original unity, to find again the kingdom of his God, who is unknown, who imperfectly known to all preceding religions. They're telling you, as their whole philosophy as a man is, your whole goal, your entire goal is to understand the soul, basically, to find the true self. So anything you do as a man is actually counter to who you truly are. So you want to, even all that shit they talk about, family and protecting the black woman and raising the babies, that's actually the hype. That's actually the big hype. Because if I was in jail and they said, if you have a kid, your kid's gonna be behind the guard, everybody would go, I have no fucking kids. Right. Why would I have kids? Like, why would I bring a kid into this prison that they're definitely gonna go in? So each time you say I'm gonna have a kid, you bring them to jail. Not just as a theory, this shit was what we was on.
I've heard that before. And so I don't know.
I heard Bobby speak on it too, because even though Bobby didn't do it like a Gnostic expert, he was heavy into these concepts. You know what I'm saying? Heavy into these concepts. I got shows on this shit. We didn't even get nowhere. Look, one can say Gnosticism is profoundly original thought, a mutant thought. So they're saying your thought is now the mutated thought, the changed thought. So when they say the X-Men's are mutants, Gnostic thought, they're trying to tell you, they're connecting these concepts, or we don't see these concepts, the X-Men are just cool. But they're saying this new thought, which was what, not Professor X, the other one, Magneto was saying was true, he was pro-mutant, right, or mutant thought. Gnostic, or the Gnostic concepts that's counter humanity, is the same thing. Gnostics of the 1st century AD deliberately devoted themselves to choosing paths which were not unorthodox, but which, moreover, generally scandalized their contemporaries. So you can turn on YouTube right now. Got a whole bunch of motherfuckers. This is what we should be doing as black people. That one motherfucker that's talking different from them would be the same concept as Gnostic thoughts. So when everybody was talking pro-humanity, these motherfuckers even then was talking, this shit is a curse, this shit is a debauchery, this is a mistake, this is a flaw, you are in prison, there's a deity that's over you that you're worshiping that's laughing at your ass. This place is imperfected. It's either, why would he make a place that has the potential for evil? That's evil. Just the potential for evil. Or he's too incompetent to make a place that is considered paradise. Either he's too competent or just truly evil. Then at the end you die and go to hell and burn forever. The philosophy is this. The Great Mother had sex. She had this bastard child, and as an embarrassment threw it in the abyss. This bastard child, seeing what was above it out of the act of jealousy, created this place, the firmament to rest his feet, the astral world for his mind. Then he started creating creatures to worship him because of his ego. And one of those creatures was a man, just another animal like every other motherfucking animal. And the Great Mother seen this and said, I'm gonna choose man to put the souls or this divine light into. So this divine light goes into man, that's the fire or the spark or the soul. This allows man to become conscious. Ultimately, the spiritual man is the man who figured the whole shit out. Who you really are, the nature of your soul, the nature of your spirit, and your truthfully your soul. But let's just keep it on the soul. The nature of your soul. You kind of figured that out. So you become that man. So ultimately, Gnosticism is the celebration of your current situation as being fucked up. But no matter where you go at or why we came here, this is not the greater part of you. This is not the higher part of you. This is not the part of you to cultivate. Because what they're really saying, if you hold on to these old ideas in the old aeon, you will die with it. So when Crowley is talking about the new age coming in, he's talking about when you're using logic and reason, because that's what we just got out of. The age of Pisces was a lot of logic and reasoning. All these astrophysicists and science trying to drop science. That's why all that flat earth is coming out and really putting it in NASA's face like this. It don't even matter if you live on a flat earth. The fact that NASA's being challenged and making you say, well, what is real? Is the earth flat or is it round? How the fuck would I know? Right. That's the real question. How the fuck would you know? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yep. At least the flat earth's got a lot of experiments that ain't even been answered. And all you really seeing from NASA is the picture they show me. And when I heard them answer it, oh, come on, flag, get out of here, get out of here. This is gravity, boom. I'm saying that we can't drop that mic in water, then what is it then? You know what I mean? There's always a story after story after story. So, if nothing else, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not, it makes you challenge, where am I, who am I, when am I, what is going on? And the fact that this challenge is happening is enough for me to understand what this new eon, at least in that context, and there was more in the book of the law. He was talking about when you dying with reason. Reason is dying. Because NASA was the ultimate in reason about what you are.
Let's say the earth is flat. Mm-hmm. We're in the goddamn aquarium, right? Right.
Aquarium. That's how I look at it.
Exactly what
that's how the Gnostics say it. You're in the fishbowl. They actually say that.
Mm-hmm. So,
okay.
Once your soul gets out of here, if you wanted, you could create your own fishbowl.
But the idea would be that's an evil thing to do. See, because
there is no good or evil.
Well, if you was going to say good or evil comes in with the existence of trapping light, if you will. If you had to call it good or evil. But if you had to look at it, I guess on the bigger picture, you can say, you can't judge it as good. You're talking about really Ma'at. Balance. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. This creates an imbalance in the force. Let's just say this creates, as they say in Star Wars, a disruption in the force. Mm-hmm. Good and evil are concepts between morality and man. So it's not on a moral level where this is good and evil. This is a something that if I put a spoiled banana with the rest of the bananas, it's not good or evil. We're just adding something that's going to fuck up the whole batch. Mm-hmm. So let's look at why fuck up the whole batch. Why would you take light and put it in your fishbowl and do the same thing that you're trying to get out of? Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't want to go even as far as say it's counterproductive as much as it's more on the level of.
It's like going back to elementary school or something.
No, it's just creating more disturbance. Serves no purpose. Mm-hmm. The whole Gnostic story is the great mother had sex basically without the holy or divine spirit's acknowledgement or out of system. So it's basically saying this is a mistake. This is an embarrassment, this whole thing. So in this lower abyss, so in this fishbowl that we're in is actually in the lower abyss. So what's going to be the work you're doing when your light or your conscience, well, she's saying this ignorance that was happening in this fishbowl, we're going to send consciousness down there. She's sending down the souls. Now, man is now conscious that he's a man. And in this whole historic story we got of man building civilizations, climbing to these heights, not coming from monkeys, but your consciousness, and all they was doing, and they'll show you that in chrono-magnets and whatever, all they doing was eating, shitting, and playing cave games.
Yeah.
And that's what every animal does. All an animal is trying to do is survive in its kingdom. So when you have black people talking about, we need to do this, we need better jobs, we need better this for our women, better this for our grandparents, we need to do this for our kids, and better schools, and better housing, better business practices, better bank loans, and just overall better shit. Mm-hmm. All you're talking about is animalistic behavior, because that's all an animal wants to do. A monkey wants to get the most bananas it could get in a day. Give them saying the most red ashes it can hump and the most bananas it could get in a day. And stay the fuck off of my tree, nigga. We asking for the same shit. That's the animal level. The soul is interested in raising up, rising out, wanting to know why. Why is it? What is this bullshit? So that is the soul talking, spirituality. And that's what the Gnostics were saying is real, trying to cultivate. So when you hear about this new flat earth theory shit, it kind of lines up with a lot of shit. Well, they got 200 proofs on it. 200 proofs on it. Choosing paths which were not only orthodox, but which moreover greatly scandalized by their contemporaries. To create in man a true consciousness, which would permit him to impart to his thoughts and deeds the permanence and rigor necessary to cast off the shackles of this world. Even though they call them the shackles of this world. Fucking says a lot. To surrender oneself to wait to increase it in all senses of the term by absorbing food or by procreating, weighing down the world with successive births, is to collaborate in its unhappy destiny to ratify the primordial fall. They say just the fact that you eat is an act of evil. Something must die for you to eat. That vegetarian shit, no. Plants, I thought you said plants were alive.
Right.
Yeah, they die. They're dying for you. They proved that shit. They put a EKG machine on 2 cantaloupes. That's the shit that measures your brain waves. So it can measure subtle electromagnetic waves.
Okay.
So they got a reading on a cantaloupe. It's EMF field, electromagnetic frequency field. They cut that cantaloupe and seen that the electricity changed. It got more sporadic. It knew it was being cut. And even more so, the cantaloupe next to it had the same reaction, like it's seeing this nigga getting cut.
Wow.
And now they chalked it up to what it really is. The quantum connection between the two are the same. They did this with a monkey experiment too. Mm-hmm. Monkeys on one island, monkeys on another island, gave them stimuli. The second pack of monkeys started doing this shit too without the stimuli based upon this quantum field. Mm-hmm. So that tells you can connect all
of it. It's called the morphological field. Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And exactly. Now, with that being said, but it also pointed out that these vegetables are feeling their death too when you eat it. So just eating is an act of evil. It said procreating, weighing down the world with successive births, act of evil. Injustice governs the universe. All that is made and all that is unmade therein carries the imprint of a corrupt fragility, as if matter were the fruit of an outrage in the womb of nothingness. Our thinking is bound by the same constraints of our bodies. Now that's where niggas need to hear this shit. Because most of our thinking, see, you have always heard me talk about you can't get into thinking. Thinking is garbage. Get into knowing. Mm-hmm. You have to be a knower. Because somebody was going to give me the statue. You know, there's a statue called a thinker. The man with it, I'm going to put that shit in my house, motherfucker. With that, that's you, Panic. No, that ain't me. I talk from a place of matter of factness. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? You never heard me say, you know, I just think, you know what I mean? That don't even sound like it's gonna come out of my mouth. I just think when I ponder on this, it makes me feel like this. I don't even talk like that. I speak from a place of matter of factness because it's a place of knowing. So most people think of heaven, think of the afterlife, think of the death with the same constraints they have in their humanity. Mm-hmm. That's why, you know, it's the whole thing, teaching in the classes, how they need to get past the humanity, you know, how they need to get past, how important that is to understand the separation between human thinking and your spiritual thinking, for lack of a better way to do it, because your constraints are in your human thinking. So if you have a human mindset trying to figure out these spiritual concepts, that's where the constraints come in. So that's why you can tell when you tell a nigga the earth is flat, niggas ain't gonna entertain that shit. Now, I at least entertain it. You know what I'm saying? But this nigga got a whole thing about 200 points, proofs that the earth is, that's a lot of points. And considering the only place you know the Earth is round from is one entity, NASA, and that theory hasn't been on the planet that long.
I mean, I what I did is I took myself into an airplane. After my last airplane ride, and I said, did anything look round?
Right. Not
no,
at all.
It's just the ground just went like.
But here's something here's something even deeper. White people so-called thought the Earth is flat, and they was dumb for it. Let's just say that's what we always thought. To some white person, guess what? Copernicus or one of them motherfuckers said it was round. But if we say, and we do say, that they got everything from the Moors. They didn't say, hey, Moors, the world is flat. And the Moors said, no, it's not. It's a globe. So after the Moors were so-called gone, the Moors are teaching them everything. How to wash their ass, how to eat, how to stand up straight with a fucking book on their head. Created fucking opera so they could fix their chakras. No Moor ever said, no, the world is round. So why did they all think the world was flat for thousands of years when they had the Moors that could have taught them that the world was a circle?
That makes sense. That's a very good point.
A lot of this shit I'm trying to find some holes in this motherfucker. I haven't found any yet. Our thinking is bound by the same constraints as our bodies. It collides against the same barriers and is dragged down by the weight of the same contingencies. Your thinking can't even free you if you have human thought. The evil lies in the existence of matter itself. Now, I've heard this in other spiritual practices. The only true evil is human thought. Because you're like, this is evil, that's not my act, that's not bad, that's not reciprocity. Nothing in spirituality tells you. No such thing.
In this reality is what they're saying, right?
They're saying, even in the cosmic reality, when looked from the entirety of all existence, the only thing that can be considered evil is matter itself. Not what you do in matter. We're like, well, how you act or behave in matter. We take one step back and say, your very existence as Mother Teresa or Malcolm X or the sweetest nigga you've ever met on the plantation is evil within its very existence. This is hot shit that they teach you straight up, because that sets the precedence for everything you look at. Now when you look at Zeus, and you find Zeus is playing with people, tricking people, raping people, you're like, oh, I get it. Then when you hear this is a prison, that there's an evil energy over you, now that makes sense. The Titans were put where? In a prison. I'm like, if this is a flat earth in a prison, that shit starts to line up.
Yep.
Tartarus. I'm like, yeah, they're locked in this prison. And these gods sit over you. And they tell you in this one, there's an evil god that sits over you, a demiurge, who had helpers, 12 archons, which are the 12 zodiacs, that imprisoned you down in there in time. I'm saying a lot of this shit lines up with it being more of a prison than it does a world, which you could eventually get on a spaceship and leave. Right. You'll eventually get the technology to get on a spaceship and leave it and go to another fucking world.
It's all bullshit.
No, everything in our mythology tells you, no, there's only one way out, through releasing the soul through your spiritual enlightenment. This is the book to get. The Flat Earth Conspiracy, Eric Dubay. D-U-B-A-Y. He's the leading white man saying like, yo, and he tells you for years there was these conspiracies, but he put out the book again and raised the issue again. So all these white people, oh my goodness, it makes sense. And she said basically they showed the first image from 1970 something and all the images of the earth that NASA ever presented, which are very few. He said, with all these satellites, all this HD technology, how come we only got a handful of pictures of the earth? This motherfucker should be selfied everywhere. I'm like, that's true. He said, you never see the dark side of the moon. He said, you can see through the moon sometimes. He said, sometimes you can see the moon, which I've seen myself, on this side of the earth in the daytime.
Right.
Shouldn't it be on the other side of the earth?
Yeah.
He explained through shit going, It's kind of interesting. Like I said,
I wondered that myself. I've been like, how can I see the moon when it's
supposed to be on the other side of the earth? They talk about all of that shit.
The moon technically is always in sight.
Thus, the simplest phenomenon and the most elemental to boot, that of nutrition. They shit right on nutrition. All these nutritional motherfuckers. You have been, would have been, for the Gnostics, a typical example of this magnificent interaction. For the very act of nourishing oneself, of sustaining life, specifically implies death of another living species. You can't lie. You can't get past that. You know what I'm saying? Each birth, each perpetration of life increases the domain of death. The more motherfuckers you bring here, the more they gotta eat and kill. This shit is fundamentally flawed, nigga. You ain't gonna make nothing good out of this. Man has absolutely nothing to do with the curse that was laid upon him. The one is truly responsible is the sadistic, perverse demiurge who dared dream up such a cruel world in minute detail. That's known as Jehovah. You know what I'm saying? Allah, Yahweh, Yosef Ben, you know, all these fucking names. For how could a supreme God have conceived the incredible sequences, mechanisms, massacres, and annihilation that constitute the very practice of life itself? Just the very life itself is fucked up in the best case scenario, no matter what you do. And no matter